as always, the GoPro battery is dying. I gotta get it on the charger. But I wanted to say thank you guys for hopping on and watching, and the ones that have subscribed. I don't know why I can't talk today. We picked up like 4 subscribers overnight, which for me is kind of a big deal. So super cool. I really appreciate it. We're gonna keep moving forward with the Jeep. I've got the intake over here. You guys can see it in the picture. The intake's on the table over here. It's dusty, it's dirty, it's covered in just all kinds of gunk. And we've already put this much work into trying to keep this as clean as we can. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean this up. I might have to run to town. I don't know if you guys saw that or not, but that bug tried to kill me. I might have to run to town and grab some wire brushes, we'll see. But I'm gonna clean the intake up, and we're gonna go ahead and paint it the dark metallic copper, like the AC bracket and the alternator bracket and the motor mounts. And it should clean it up a lot. So I'm excited. We're gonna go ahead and probably just do a short time lapse of me scrubbing this thing down with the wire brush, and then I might scotch brite it a little bit and tape everything off and paint it. It should look okay. I still have to paint. I've got some of that high temperature spray paint, ceramic, whatever stuff. I'm gonna go ahead and hit that aftermarket header that I got when I bought this backup motor. I'm gonna go ahead and hit it with the black. I'll clean it up a little bit before I paint it, and then that should help kind of mitigate the heat in the engine bay a little bit, because I don't know if you guys are familiar with these motors. Basically the way it's set up is you've got exhaust, intake, exhaust, intake. So the exhaust runs out the same side of the head as the intake does, and obviously with the exhaust being that close to the intake, heat is a problem. So the best tactic's probably to wrap it with some of that high temperature stuff. When I do my turbo manifold and I do the whole flip and put the flange up under the motor mount and mount the turbo, we're probably going to wrap it. So it will have like a thermal kind of spray paint on it, and then we'll wrap it as well. So I'm really hoping that'll cut the heat down a lot. Also, it'll keep the IETs from being as high. It will have an intercooler on it, and it'll be on E85, but it's still, I mean, heat's just a problem. These aren't cross flow heads. They never really made I don't think they ever made a cross flow head for the 4-liter. I know they didn't from the factory. But anyway, we won't get distracted with all that. I'm gonna clean this intake up, and then I might have to run to town and grab some brushes, but I'm gonna see what all I can get done, and then we'll paint it. GoPro battery's charged. Finally, we got that figured out. One thing I did not mention in the last video that I wanna bring up, the Jeep, the plan with the Jeep is I wanna get it running, like I said before, on a stock computer, just get it all figured out. And then I wanna have it turboed. I want to have it running on the standalone. I want to have all the fuel system done. I want to have it actually like making boost before September, because if you guys didn't know, September, I believe it's the 22nd, is when Ice Cream Cruise starts. So if you guys don't know what that is, there's an event they have every year in Iowa. 1320 Video puts this event on. It's called Ice Cream Cruise, and it is so cool. This will be my 3rd year going to it. And last year I went, there was like, I don't know, like 20,000 people there. We're just gonna go ahead and put the Jeep, we're probably just gonna put the Jeep in the car show. We're not gonna race it or anything. It's not gonna be fast enough to even compete. There's gonna be some really fast cars there, but I will put it in the car show just so people can look at it, and people can come by and, you know, ask questions and talk to me about it, and then we can get some more exposure for the channel. So that's coming up too, so you guys stay tuned for that. And it's going to be a journey, but you guys will be here every step of the way. So I'm going to get this thing making turbo noises, but for now we're going to get back on cleaning this intake. Okay, we're at 1% battery, so I'm gonna go ahead and make this quick. Hopefully it doesn't die. But this thing's still drying for the most part. I'm gonna go ahead and pull the tape out of the holes. Nice. Yeah, that's gonna look good. Cool. So that turned out pretty good. Nice sharp lines around the holes down here where all the ports and the sensor for the AT and everything have to thread in. So I think it's gonna look good. I thought about clear coating it, but it would stick out like a sore thumb in the engine bay because nothing else is clear coated. So we're just gonna leave it, but it's kind of glossy. It'll be pretty. I'm excited. We got the exhaust manifold all painted with that ceramic stuff. It's supposed to be good to like 2,000 degrees, but it came from Walmart, so who knows. But I got it all painted. It's flat black. It looks okay. Intake manifold's about to go on. And then we got the new aftermarket rail on it. It looks much better than it did. So now that the intake's on, or the exhaust is on, we're gonna go ahead and throw the intake on the head. We've got a pretty gnarly transmission leak that I've just noticed, like just now as we speak.
Oh boy.
So I gotta figure that out. I hope it's not the pan. I know there was some kind of janky plug someone shoved in the pan at some point. So I foresee me having to patch a plug or patch a hole in the pan that was not properly fixed beforehand. We're back. Here's the intake. For those of you that have not seen pictures or anything yet, there it is. Aftermarket Amazon fuel rail. It's got the ORB fittings on the end of it for my return, which for now we're just running stock injectors. So we're gonna stick this thing on here.
I'm gonna hold it.
Cool. Okay, intake is on. It looks really good. I'm very happy with it. It was a bit of a pain because we thought we misplaced some nuts, and actually the problem was when I pulled the manifold and everything off the old motor that blew up, the studs came out with the nuts, and I forgot. And so we're looking everywhere for the nuts, trying to find them, and we finally figured it out. But intake is on. Exhaust obviously is also on because they go on together. So I'll show them to you. This turned out so good. And then the exhaust is underneath there. You can barely see it, but it's flat black. I just hit it with some of that thermal ceramic stuff I was telling you about. Stock injectors for now. Fuel line is connected. I went ahead and sprayed a little paint on the power steering pulley because it looked like doo-doo. And then the one over here, ignore the crooked video. The girlfriend's working on painting that. That's just the tensioner adjuster pulley for the belt. And it bolts up here and down there. It kind of holds the power steering pump and everything. We're making progress. So far so good, aside from this crap. Yeah, so it seemed like it slowed down. Never mind, there's another drip. So apparently, from what I can see, there's a hole in the trans pan. So somebody stuck a plug of some sort in there. It's been like that since I got the Jeep. It was not leaking before, so I mean it worked. It wasn't the right way to do it, but it did work. So now that we had to jack the trans up, I had to put a board on it to kind of evenly distribute the pressure on the pan so we didn't like cave the pan in. And when we're jacking it up, I guess that board just happened to touch the plug and knock it loose enough that now it's leaking. So now our transmission is leaking all over the ground. I don't know if I'm going to take the pan off and try to weld the hole up, or if I want to maybe weld. That'd be really, hold on. Hold on. Okay, I got good. Let me get back. There is a drain bolt on the pan. I was gonna say I could drill a hole and like weld in a bung or a drain or whatever there, but there's already a drain bolt, which is cool that Ace and Warner thought of that, but now there's no point in adding another drain. So we're not gonna drill a hole, weld a bung in, put a bolt in it. We're not gonna do all that. So I'll probably just weld that hole up. I really don't want to jab a bunch of silicone in there so it can get stuck in my valve body and I can get stuck in first and reverse and blow my input shaft through my bell housing. But anyway, Trump 24, we're going to go ahead and keep working. The intake's on, the exhaust is on. We're going to start kind of laying the harness where it goes, getting that all figured out, finish the painting stuff, and I still got the top 2 bolts to put in the bell housing on the transmission, which suck, by the way, because they're these guys. I don't know if you know what these are, but these are like it's like a Torx, but it's inverted. So basically it's like a star inverted E Torx. They suck, okay? Whatever they're called, I don't care what they're called, they suck. They work great if they're easy to get to, but these are not. They're like on the top of the bell housing, so it's not great. You guys ever work on like an old Buick Olds Pontiac motor? You got that one stupid bolt all the way up there? Yeah, it's like that, but even worse. So we're gonna get those tight, and then we're not far from starting this thing. We're really not. Like a couple hours, we could have this thing fired up. We got to get all the brackets on. I will probably put oil in it and start it. No, I can't, because it's an automatic transmission. I'm used to manuals, okay? I'm trying to adjust to the automatic world. I was gonna say we could start it and then see if it has any funky noises and everything's working like it should. However, the transcooler has to be, the radiator slash transcooler has to be in here, because the pump on the transmission, when you start it, is moving fluid automatically, and if you don't have the transcooler in here, you've got a cool little ATF rocket that can launch trans fluid across your yard. So I don't really want to do that. So I guess we'll stick the radiator in it. I don't know that we'll put the front clip on right away, because I want to make sure this motor is healthy, but we're getting there. We're making progress. We'll be back. Okay. First of all, I ran into a snag. Kind of funny, because it's my fault. If you look inside here, you might not be able to see, but there's Milwaukee Sharpie mark right here, and then there's a shiny line. I don't know if you can see it or not, but I'll show you what's going on. Essentially, it's my fault. Like I said, I goofed, and if you look right here, this bolt goes through the AC compressor bracket. Well, I should have put the bolt through the other way. That is what is rubbing on the pulley, because the pulley sits flat here, but then it like concaves that way just a little bit, and it's just enough that it's rubbing. I could cut this off, but I don't want to go cutting corners and doing stuff the wrong way. So we're gonna have to, it's not too terribly bad. We're just gonna go ahead and pull the AC compressor back off. I'll just lay it somewhere kind of out of the way, and then I'm going to have to remove these bolts, remove the AC compressor bracket, and then feed the bolt through the other way so it's not rubbing on the pulley for the fan, and we'll be good. But that's how it goes sometimes. This is my first time doing this, so I'm still figuring all these things out. But next time I'll remember that, and I won't put the bolt in backwards, essentially. So let's get this compressor off of here, get the bracket off, flip the bolt around, put it all back together. Okay, cool. So I'll get a light and show you guys down here, but I ran into another hiccup. So for those of you that are doing swaps to like older motors on your Cherokee, so you get a good deal on an older motor, my Cherokee is a 98 and the motor I got's a 91. The only thing that I knew of that was different was there's a couple little things they changed on, like the distributor's a little different, and the heads had different part numbers, stuff like that. But the block didn't have all the stiffening for the NVH, the noise vibration harshness. The pre 96 or 7, whatever year, they started adding some stiffening to the block just for noise and vibration, because people, I guess, were complaining about it. I don't know. But either way, this being a 91 block, I didn't think there would be that much different. And there's really not a lot, but it's enough to stump you up if you don't know what you're looking for. And I didn't know, so I'm going to share it with you guys so you can be kind of up to speed here. When this belt is routed the way it's supposed to be around this pulley, that belt rubs up against this weird little tab on the front timing cover. You see you got your timing marks right there, then there's this weird little tab. Well, this is a 91 block. I haven't changed anything. I didn't open it up, check the chain, nothing. I pulled the valve cover off, changed the gasket, cleaned up the rocker arm, stuff like that, but I haven't really been inside the motor. Now we'll come over here to my 98 block, or my 97 block, same block. You see, front timing cover, there's no weird little tab right there. It doesn't exist. So I don't know exactly what that's for. I couldn't tell you that, but I do know it doesn't exist on the later models, and it does exist on the earlier models. So if you guys are swapping an earlier model motor into your Cherokee, that's going to be in the way. We're going to hack that off because that's the quickest and easiest solution I can think of, and get that out of the way, and then we should be all right. All right, update. The neighbor's dogs go crazy every time a siren goes through town, so just bear with me. My dogs don't do that. I don't know why theirs do.
Yep.
I think it's a chromosome thing or something. I don't know.
Missing some.
I don't think they have an additional. So anyway, we cut, here, let me get the tab. We cut this little guy off like you guys just saw. So now we have room. Once this belt is all the way tensioned, we'll be good. As you can see before, and that was on there, I mean, it was all up on the belt, so that was never going to work. So now we have room. Me and Clarence don't get along, or clearance, whatever they call it. All right, so it's the next day. We were going to keep going last night, but we decided we wanted to get up early and try to get a full day in today, which we managed to do so far. So we just ran out of steam. We were getting tired. There's a big car show in the next town over for me this morning, and I'm here working on this thing, which I got to get it going either way, so it is what it is. We got to get the starter on, and we got to get all the converter bolts in it. We got to get the trans cooler / radiator installed.
Cool.
And then add, well, we're not going to add coolant at first because I want to make sure everything's going to start and run normal.
No, but we need to get those things on.
But we got to get the radiator in. We got to get everything hooked up for the trans cooler lines. I'm not worried about the AC condenser right away, but we need to just kind of do a test fire, make sure everything's going to be fine. Another hiccup we ran into is the previous owner's mechanic, and that's spelled with a K, by the way. People just, oh my god. So there's a hole in the transmission panel in this thing, and they put a rubber plug in it, is what it looks like to me. The trans foot looks brand new. I pulled the pan off, and we kind of accidentally dumped it in this thing over here, so I can't show you. But there was a rubber plug. It was pretty big. It was about the size of a dime, I'd say. And it was shoved off in this hole that was somehow knocked into the pan. I'm not sure how it happened, but I'll show you guys. Here is the hole in the trans pan. It's like somebody knocked a hole in it to drain it or something. There's what the top of it looks like.
Blowed out.
It's just awful. So I'm not sure. There's a drain plug there, so I don't know why in the world. I don't know. But it had a rubber plug shoved in it, and it was starting to leak. So we're going to go ahead and, I guess, weld the hole up. It's going to suck. Okay, we got the pan cleaned up. It's looking way better. The girlfriend worked on that and got that thing shining. I got the welder set up here, and yes, in case you're wondering, these are Poot Viper sunglasses. Yeah, I don't need no pit vipers. Anyway, we got the pans cleaned up. I got an idea to go ahead. We're gonna weld the washer on it. We're just gonna put a washer over the hole here, and then I'll just weld the hole on the washer. Seemed like an easy solution rather than trying to hole saw something out and make it fit. So that's what we're gonna do. So I'm gonna go ahead and just tack this over the hole, and then while it's warm, I'll see if I can like tap it with a ball peen, kind of get it to form a little better so it's easier to weld. Then we'll run a bead around it and fill the center in. It shouldn't be too bad, but I gotta clean the pan up. we've made a little bit of headway. I spent the last probably 2 hours welding the pan. So that looks like dookie crap. I don't know what was going on. The wind was blowing, so my argon was just blowing all over the place, and I tried to like shield it with my hand, and I don't have a lot of high-tech equipment because I don't have the budget for all that. But anyway, we got that welded. I did put some water in it and hold it up and like basically stare at it for a period of time to make sure it's not leaking, and it's not. It doesn't look good, but we might see if we can find like an aftermarket pan or something, or I might cut the bottom out of this and make it a little deeper. I don't know, we'll see. But for right now, that's gonna work. We painted it a Maui blue is what it's called. It's just a Rust-Oleum spray paint, nothing too fancy. So that's done. We're gonna go ahead and throw the gasket on because it's still in really good shape. So we'll throw that gasket back on there, and the dipstick too, we had to yank it out to get the pan, because on these Jeeps, on the AW4s, the dipstick actually goes into the pan. It's kind of strange. Most transmissions, it just goes into the case, but not on these. So we'll get all that back together. I went and bought transmission fluid. I had to go buy some more wire brushes because we were running out for all the stuff we had to go clean. And I've cleaned every one of these bolts by hand. I scrubbed the crap out of these things with the wire brush. They're all super clean. Yeah, so I'm excited to put all that back together and not get filthy in the process. So that's going to be cool. I'm trying to do everything I can on this as correctly as I can on a budget. So we're just taking our time, trying to be really thorough with how we clean stuff. Oh, also another thing. So the battery tray, that bolt broke, that bolt broke, and that bolt broke. Well, that's all the bolts that hold it. So me and the girlfriend drilled a hole here, and we put a rib nut in it, and now I've threaded this bolt in, and that will hold the tray. It's very securely in place, so it won't be moving anywhere. I still got to figure out these AC lines. I think this one got bent a little bit up there on the coming out of the firewall, but either way, we'll figure it all out and get it sorted. We ran into a little bit of a hiccup. Everything's together. We did the old chop on that thing on the front to make sure the belt clears. Everything's working, and I decided to turn it over by hand to put the bolts in the converter, and it won't turn over. It turned over fine when I got it at top dead center to put the distributor in, and the only thing that's changed since then is I put the distributor in and we bolted it to the trans. All right, guys, so it's the next day. As you could see from last night's activities, I was a little discouraged with the situation. I was also pretty worried about the engine and what was going on. I'm slightly less worried now. I haven't tried to turn it over yet today, just because I did some homework. I asked a few friends kind of what they thought about the situation, and I learned something. And it wouldn't be fair to you guys if I only showed you my successes, so I'm gonna have to show you my failures as well. So here's kind of where we're at. I've owned almost every car I've ever owned has been a manual. I've owned just a select few automatic cars, and I've never really had to do much with the transmissions. So I basically learned, I asked several friends, and they pretty much told me, your torque converter, when you're lining it up, it has to spline up 3 times. Well, I was under the impression that it had to spline up twice. So I put it on the input shaft, and I spun it, and it made a clunk, and then I spun it and it made another clunk, and that was it. Well, apparently that's wrong. And like I said, I'm not an expert. I know quite a bit, but I don't know everything. I'll never know everything. So don't assume that because I'm doing these turbo things and everything else that I just know everything there is to know. I'm still learning. So I'm hoping that we got lucky. From what I've been told, I should be okay because it did spline up twice. I think we'll be okay. The converter it's not super tight up against the flex plate, but it is touching the flex plate, which there should be a slight gap. So what I'm going to do is pull the bolts out of the bell housing that bolt the trans to the block, and I'm going to see if I can get the converter to spin and get it to spline up one more time. And if I can, we're golden. We should be okay. I'm hoping we dodged the bullet and didn't hurt anything on the pump on the transmission. But if we did, a pump's like 50 bucks on eBay. I'll just have to pull the motor completely back out. It's a whole thing, but we'll get it figured out. Either way, I just want to tell you guys that and fill you in, because we don't win every time. As I'm doing this, I'm learning. So I mean, I'm not a pro, I'm not an expert. I'm just putting these things together, and you guys get to see the good and the bad of it all. Okay, so I don't know how well you guys can see kind of what's going on right now, but there's a chain on the motor. I pulled the bolts just out of the actual motor mounts and pulled them off the motor mount brackets that bolt onto the frame. I say it that way because these don't have frames. In case you guys didn't know, these are unibody vehicles, and they don't have a frame rail like a Wrangler would. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get under here. I'm pretty sure I got it moved enough. Sorry, the sun's probably blinding you guys. I think I got it unseated far enough that I can go ahead and get the converter seated. There's quite a bit of space down there. If you guys can see, it's pretty dark down there, but yeah, the trans is a good distance from the block now, and I think I can get the converter seated the rest of the way. I'm gonna try to get under there and squeeze the camera down there with me. We're gonna see how this goes. Oh yeah, dude, we're golden. Okay, I'm so happy. I hope this works. As you guys can see up in here, the flex plate has this weird ring on it where the crankshaft position sensor reads, and that was giving me an absolute nightmare trying to get my hand around it to reach the torque converter to spin it to get it seated on that last spline. So now that the motor is separated from the bell housing far enough, I should be able to spin it and get it splined up. So that's what we're gonna try to do. It's day number, I lost count. I don't even know what day it is. I think it's Tuesday. Anyway, we're on the Jeep again. Last night I laid under the Jeep for a solid hour with my arms over my head, wiggling the converter until I got it fully seated, because like I said before, it was not fully seated. I actually took it, lifted the motor up, scooted it forward, and had to get up in there and do some fancy stuff. I didn't want to pull the motor all the way out. So basically I got in there, turned it, twisted it, pulled it back out, listened to how many times it splined up, and finally got it all the way onto the pump, is my understanding. It wasn't all the way on the pump. So we got that sorted out. So the converter's all the way in, the motor's bolted back to the trans. It turns over fine now, everything's okay. I got the distributor back in, it's timed, everything should be good. We throw all the plugs back in because dirt daubers are terrible around here. I've heard them called mud wasps. But anyway, we call them dirt daubers around here, okay? Oklahoma, that's what I'm talking about. But yeah, they daub dirt everywhere. I guess that's why they're called dirt daubers. I don't know that daub is a word. My dog daubs. I call him Dobby sometimes. Anyway, we're getting sidetracked. We're gonna get the plugs back out. I'll get the battery in, get it all hooked up. We got to put the converter bolts in, get those threaded in tight, and we got to put the pan back on the trans. I still haven't done that yet. Pan on the trans, fill the trans, fill the motor with oil, change the filter, put the starter back on. We're pretty close. I mean, it sounds like a lot, but it's really not that bad. I mean, another hour and a half, 2 hours, we should have this thing at least cranking over trying to start. So let's get her. Over.
Let me see your cicada.
Oh, look at the little guy. He's so, little. He's so mad. He wants to go flying. I won't let him. He's like boink boink.
How cute.
All right, we're back for the 100th time, I guess. It's the next day, but after the next day, I lost count. Anyway, we're back. Last night we were out here until midnight working on this thing. Kind of funny. Made a boo-boo and forgot something. Nothing too major, but it was funny because I chased the problem for like an hour and a half or so. Hooked the battery up, and it acted like the battery was dead or something was weird. Checked the voltage on the battery, it was like 12.7 volts, so optimal. Went through, tried to check grounds. Something just didn't seem right. Figured it out. So, I forgot this ground cable. There's a ground that goes from the battery to the body. And I forgot it. I didn't have it hooked up. I said, hey, where's the ground strap that goes to the body over here on the fender? Oh, it's in the Jeep. So neither one of us remembered it. We figured out that the ground strap was laying in the passenger seat of the Jeep where it can't really ground anything. It doesn't help sitting in there. So hooked it up, put the ground back where it was down by the coil bracket, and everything started working. So I pulled all the plugs out, cranked it over for 20-30 seconds, give or take. It built about 30 pounds of oil pressure. Everything's hooked up. We got all the wires on. It's in time. Everything should just work like it's supposed to. Hopefully I'm not shooting myself in the foot saying that, but everything seems to be okay. I guess we're at a point now we're going to try to fire it off and see if the motor has any weird noises. It makes good oil pressure, and once I verify all of that, we'll go ahead and shut it back off and button everything up.
What?
I said it's hotter than heck in here.
Oh no.
It's heckin' hot.
Heckin'?
It's dang darn
That's
hot in this Jeep.
dang darn.
It's like 18 quadrillion. All right, that's enough of that. Start this thing.
Get it.
That is the sound of an out-of-time engine.
Oh no.
Fortunately, I say it can hopefully only be ignition timing, because I never pulled the timing cover off this motor. The way I got this motor is the way it is right now. I didn't touch any of that. I pulled the head off, we put head gasket on, ARP head studs, and that's it. I didn't do anything. So mechanically, everything should be timed. The distributor might be in wrong, first option, or two, I goofed on my firing order, which I am super efficient at doing. So I'm gonna double check my firing order and then we'll try again.
Okay.
And this one should be 2. And this one should be 4. That's right. Okay, so that's right. Maybe the distributor's in wrong.
Maybe.
Okay, let's go ahead and time it again. Oh, Lord have mercy, Lord have mercy, Lord have mercy. We're gonna go ahead and reset the distributor. So I'm gonna go ahead and put her at top dead center.
Yeah, we did take it on and off a few times yesterday trying to figure out what was.
Yeah, I probably goofed and
going
just
on.
stabbed it with it not being at top dead center. And
Yeah,
I guess we got lucky we didn't throw a big fireball out the intake, because
yeah.
I've done that before. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and put her at top dead center on the compression stroke, and I'm gonna go ahead and teach your girlfriend how to set top dead center and set the distributor and all that good stuff. So yeah, it's a win-win. We're teaching people stuff and we're hopefully fixing the problem. But it was making kind of popping noises, so it sounded like it's getting spark, it's getting fuel, it's just not getting it all at the right time. So we'll fix it, we'll be back.
Now,
And apparently,
we're gonna fire up right now. And I've never been on live television before in my life, ever. I've never even been on live television.
and apparently.
All right, so we fought a little bit of an issue with the timing. I will put a picture, I'll go out of my way to download a picture and do like an arrow here. Okay, here's what we'll do. This is what I should have been doing. This is what I've been doing. So if you notice, I was using the 4-cylinder hole. I don't know why, but I was like, I saw the 4 and my brain was like 4 liter. I don't know. I'm acoustic, I guess. Anyway, we figured it out. I hope. I haven't started it yet. You guys are gonna get to see the real like first startup. We're gonna fire this thing, hopefully. If you're not crossing your fingers, cross them. so happy. We gotta hook the exhaust up, add coolant, put the front end back together, hook up the AC compressor. O2 sensor's plugged in, yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Cool.
Oh my gosh. You
Wow,
did
it
it.
sounded like it was missing a little bit at idle.
A little
Something
bit,
weird, but
it started
that could be an
and
injector
it,
or something.
yeah,
Yeah. And those plugs are older and crap.
super old,
Yeah.
little fouled out. I noticed too.
We're golden. It is yet another day. We are back. So, little update. The Jeep is back together. I had a few minor problems, nothing too crazy. I took it on a test drive. It seems to shift through the gears fine. It's not overheating. We did have an issue where we had an air pocket in the cooling system. We got that all figured out. It seems to be okay. However, I took it through town and I got into about third gear and I started smelling oil burning. And I thought, well, that's kind of weird. So I'm looking around and I look in my rear view and it's just a cloud of white. So I knew that something was getting on the exhaust or transmission fluid, something was going on. So pulled over, checked everything, looked underneath it, and the oil, it's either the oil pan gasket or the rear main was completely just smoked. It was dripping like crazy. So I babied it back home, went ahead and warrantied out the gasket and the rear main seal because it wasn't probably 2 or 3 months old and had a 1-year warranty, so we just warrantied them out. So I got that swapped last night. In the process, I broke the bolt off for the track bar, and it broke off in this funky little tab. If you guys ever worked on a Jeep, you know these tabs go up inside so you can hold the nut because you can't hardly get up in there. Anyway, I've got the bolt wrapped up in a paper towel here. It's just broken half, and I'm gonna run to town and grab a new one. So we ran into another hiccup. The distributor is supposed to have a gasket, which it did not, because it was one of those, I'm just gonna get it started and make sure everything's fine and then I'll put a gasket in at later situations, and I didn't. So Tom gave me this one, and it's a little loose. It's not actually the gasket for this. It's off a small block, but it'll seal, it'll work pretty much at any position. I don't think it's gonna leak, it'll be fine. So we're gonna run this one. I am going to go ahead and clean just a little bit down there where it was. It leaked all down the side of the block. We're probably gonna just do a mild degreaser down there, try to get that cleaned up because we took a lot of time trying to make this look decent. Okay, forgot we were recording. So got the distributor in. I noticed something that's bugging me. This little guy right here is cracked. This thing goes way down in this port. You can't see, but it goes way down. Goodness, it goes way down in there, so I'm not super worried about it, but it is cracked, and I just don't want things not to be fairly correct given my budget. So I'm gonna get a piece of heat shrink, I guess, and go over it. I think heat shrink will be just fine. So I'm gonna put a piece of heat shrink over that, heat shrink it, make it look good, make it function, and then cicada killer's about to kill my girlfriend.
Oh no! Oh god, no!
They won't sting you.
I'm not a cicada.
Okay.
Ah! It's still after me.
I'm not saying this is the right way to do it by any means,
It's a way.
but if it works, it works.
Yeah.
We're currently stretching the heat shrink tubing because I have a piece that's like 0.3 millimeters too small to fit over this little piece that we're trying to fix. So I'm hoping I can get just enough stretch out of it to get, oh my dang genius.
Oh,
Okay,
look at that.
so there's that. We'll go ahead and cut this back. Got a razor blade on the ground over here. Now, I'm not saying this is the right way to fix this problem, but it's what I have the tools and the parts readily available to use to fix the problem.
It'll work.
So that's what we're going to be doing. Figure I'll put it back on while it's still warm. I'll make it a little easier. Ah, jeez.
It'll be still.
That looks better.
Good.
I dig that. Okay, that is fixed. And if you didn't know you were looking at heat shrink, you wouldn't even know it was there.
All good.
Here you go. They knew what they were doing with them door handles. That was intentional.
Right.
They're like, this ain't gonna break down. Let's make them a door handle they can use.
Oh, I got it now.
I want to pour this in there before me or a dog steps in it.
Oh, good. It's not super full anymore.
No,
I was
don't.
gonna go do that the other day, but it was up to the edge, and I was like, you know
Yeah,
what?
I
I'm gonna
went and
wait on
dumped it.
that.
There's my oil that's got 2 miles on it.
Yeah. It's part of the process. But